This essay example, as well as thousands of others, is available in text format on our website for free and without registration. Simply Google IvyPanda Free Essays.
Marr's levels of explanation. David Marr's book, The Vision, highlights that complex systems like the brain or computer are better understood at various levels. Marr further stresses that the explanations at the different levels are independent of each other. He also observes that there is a relationship between neuroscience and computation. He claims that similar to a software engineer who does not need to learn hardware in detail, every level of the brain has its own specialization. It uses a computational approach to study human visual processes. In his book, David Marr dwells on a computational theory for vision. He states that a visual process needs to pass through several steps where there exists a different representation of the retina image. The three levels of explanations are designed to perform the task of information processing. Basically, his aim is to differentiate the three levels of explanation and give the computation theories. Marr levels have found their application in the study of cognition. Namely, the three levels are computational, algorithmic, and implementation level. Level 1 is the computation level, which defines the process that is being computed. It tries to identify the input and output of information into the system. At this level, the goal is a mental representation of the visual images. For example, the input can be a person's senses, while the output is his or her behaviors. The computation level tries to answer the question of logic according to which the information input and output happens. A binocular is used as an example in illustrating the computation level of the visual processes. The input is the left and the right eye image, while the output is the depth of the sample being viewed. Level 2 is an algorithmic and representation level. At this level, the system is specified to convert the system output and input. It tries to determine the algorithms the brain uses to attain the computational goals. The algorithm level tries to answer how the brain transforms visual information into a mental representation of the 3D image. For example, the binocular stereopsis has stereo algorithms as their input. The coarse algorithm computes the blurred image of the depth into the input image at a finer scale. Level 3 is an implementation level. It tries to comprehend how the algorithm is grasped into the physical structure of the mind. It tries to answer the question of how the system is physically comprehended. An example is the computer hardware or neuron cells in the brain. Sensitive neurons have been identified to be in action in the brain, closer to the input or output stage. David Marr's approach to vision provides a framework that is both computationally traceable and biologically plausible in the understanding of human vision. Marr's methodology and a reductionist view of the relation between psychology and neuroscience. There are concerns about Marr's computational theory. The name computational theory has been found to be misleading as the researcher does not explain the computational procedures. He only explains the tasks to be performed by the computation system. Marr's analysis is questioned by David Broadbent, who claims that connectionism and psychologist analysis of Marr's implementation level is irrelevant to psychology. David Marr algorithms and cognitive representations focus rather on the nature of problems than on the mechanism and hardware in which they are embodied. Many philosophers recommend a study of human hardware so as to understand the judgments and common sense concepts. There are questions on these levels where theorizing and research concern psychology. There is some controversy between mentalism and behaviorism on a suitable level of analysis. There is a tension that exists in the reductionist view between neuroscience and psychology. Biological as well as social approaches to the behavior of humans have always been contrasted with one another. The two functions act as mutually exclusive or antagonistic entities. The underlying assumption in social neuroscience is that the mechanisms behind the behavior and mind will never be entirely explicable by using social or biological approaches in solidarity. Multilevel integrative scrutiny is needed. It can be added that the scientific language that is universal and fully grounded in the function and structure of the brain is highly crucial and important. Human behavior is entirely biological at some levels. Biological reductionism gives rise to singular, simple, and satisfactory explanations of molecular representation forms, and complex behaviors are the source of the highest degree of analysis that prompts the understanding of human behaviors. In conclusion, it must be emphasized that connectionism models are built with similarity with neural processing. It is my opinion that they are suitable for representing the cognitive phenomena. The social sciences have developed a molar construct that is the prime source of understanding activities that are highly complex. This essay on Marr's computational theory and explanation levels was written and submitted by a student just like you. The IvyPanda Samples database hosts thousands of works similar to this one on various subjects. Visit ivypanda.com to find what you are looking for.